A video I made about 10 months ago called I Learned My Dad's Language, which is Cantonese, has recently blew up in Hong Kong and has gotten 200,000 views. And along with that, my videos have been exposed to a lot more Hong Kong people. One question that I saw pop up on my why did I move to Taiwan and not China video is somebody asking me why did I move to Taiwan and not Hong Kong. So in today's video, I'm going to explain and talk about why I moved to Taiwan and not Hong Kong. Now, before we get into the video, I just want to say this is just sharing my experience and my opinion, and I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. The video I made before, why I moved to Taiwan and not China, got a lot of bad comments and hate. People calling me an idiot, people sending me death threats, people saying I made the wrong choice, and people saying that I'm spreading lies. There were some positive comments too from people both in China and Taiwan saying as long as I'm happy, that's okay, and everyone has different preferences. So just know that this is my story and I'm not trying to convince anyone to do this or do that. So to start the story, the truth is I did want to move to Hong Kong, and Hong Kong was actually my first choice. If you know that my dad is from Hong Kong, then it's probably quite understandable as to why Hong Kong was my first choice. I have visited Hong Kong many times. I was more familiar with Hong Kong culture, Hong Kong food, and the places in Hong Kong. I also have friends in Hong Kong as well as some family. However, when I was looking for teaching jobs, I cast my net fairly wide and looked at opportunities all over Asia. This included places like Thailand, China, Vietnam, Japan, and of course Hong Kong and Taiwan. The main issue with teaching English in Hong Kong is that Hong Kong is a much smaller place compared to the other countries. So competition is more fierce and there are fewer opportunities. I also have a very Hong Kong sounding surname, Wong. And as you may know, teaching English in Asia, they much prefer the foreigners, the white people, and the guai-lo. So there's a good chance that the schools in Hong Kong saw my resume, saw my name, and just disguised it to one side. Now, some of you might be thinking, James, your dad is from Hong Kong. You can just get the local residency card and get a job quite easily. Sadly, this isn't the case for me. After 1997, with the British handing Hong Kong over to China, the government made it extremely difficult, if not impossible, for second-generation Hong Kong people to get a residency card. So as far as Hong Kong is concerned, I'm just like any other foreigner. I get no special privileges despite my dad. It's a shame really, but there's nothing I can do about it. So in the end, I got a number of job offers from different countries, and I decided to choose Taiwan and decided to stop pursuing job opportunities in Hong Kong for several reasons. So the first, as I mentioned, it will be extremely difficult to get a teaching job in Hong Kong unless I waited a long time for the right opportunity or I got my teaching degree. In Taiwan, they're always hiring English teachers. Secondly, Hong Kong is super expensive. I remember that if I wanted to rent a room in a house in Hong Kong, it would have cost me about £2,000 a month to share a room with someone else. This means there will also be someone else sleeping in the same room as me. On top of that, food, transports, and other living costs, super expensive in Hong Kong. In Taiwan, I can get a studio apartment to myself for a fraction of the cost of what it would cost in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is super busy. I appreciate in England that we respect personal space and we're not always crammed up against each other. I also remember when I was in Hong Kong, the quiet normal traveling time is like rush hour in other countries, and rush hour in Hong Kong is just crazy packed. Taiwan can be quite busy too, but there are certain times and certain places where it's just much quieter and much more suitable for me. I was also leaning more towards Mandarin rather than Cantonese. My whole life, everyone has been telling me how Cantonese is one of the hardest languages in the world and that Mandarin would be easier. It seemed that way to me too, because I'd always see a lot of foreigners online speaking Mandarin, but very few would be speaking Cantonese. I also felt in Hong Kong that people's levels of English were quite high. I know people who were born and raised in Hong Kong and they don't speak any Mandarin or Cantonese, they only spoke English. So I wanted a more immersive environment where I could practice a language, and I felt Taiwan could offer that. People at the time also said that Mandarin was a useful language to learn, especially with China at the time becoming a bigger and bigger superpower. However, even with me moving to Taiwan, I still knew that Hong Kong was just a few hours away. And ever since I moved to Taiwan, I visited Hong Kong every single year, except for this year, of course, because of the pandemic. I can't wait to go visit Hong Kong again, especially now that I can speak some basic Cantonese. So I think it'd be really cool to speak with local local people and practice the little Cantonese that I do know. You've probably heard the saying that everything happens for a reason, and after 5 years in being in Taiwan, I feel like I made the right choice of moving here, especially now when you look at the unrest in Hong Kong and its clash with China at the moment. There's also other things that have worked out quite well for me too. I was able to teach parkour in Taiwan, and I don't think that would have been an opportunity that I could have had in Hong Kong. I've also had some great modeling opportunities here too. In Hong Kong, there are a lot more mixed people as well as fewer opportunities in general due to it being a smaller place. So competition for me would have been way tougher than it is in Taiwan. Alright guys, thank you for taking the time to watch this video to the end. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably like this one too. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.